you guys know why we're here. You know why we're here, man. One Lamar Jackson. Like, what is going on? Like, week after week, there is something going on that they just have to say his name every week. Mm-hmm. Why the obsession? Well, look, if you look at Engraven's video, he's put out a nice video on it, describing what's going on. You check out Keeping It Real. You check out Jose Verduzco. They've done some great videos on this, right? Mm-hmm. So let's break down like the latest two things that have happened. Well, the latest thing that's happened. One was Pro Football Focus. We did that 2 weeks ago. We covered that, saying he's not a top 50 player. Okay, now laughable. Now, Pro Football Talk, in particular, Mike Florio,
yes,
has a problem with Lamar Jackson playing with kids, essentially
on asphalt.
All right,
would have been fine if it was on grass.
Yeah, right, on asphalt. So he wrote an article. Well, let's start out with the fact that Lamar Jackson had a kids fun day. Was it last weekend? It was last weekend.
I believe so. Yeah, third annual kids fun day. And
he actually did it 2 days, I believe. It was like Saturday and Sunday, and free. Everybody had fun. He made sure he spent time with all the kids, and they put out videos of him playing with the kids. And one of the videos, he was running routes, like a wide receiver, something he wouldn't do at the combine, and and he was playing DB, with kids, and Mike Florio took offense to that, and he said, "Look, you shouldn't be doing that when you're about to come up on a contract," and he threw some shots at his mom because his mom represents him. So he said a good agent would tell him not to do that because you can't risk injury. Now, why does Mike Florio care so much about the well-being of Lamar Jackson? And since when has Mike Florio, who's a blogger, right? He started out as a blogger. Since when did he become a sports agent? He's giving out sports agent advice. Who did he ever represent? I'm curious.
Right. Yeah. And, it's again, Mike Florio's out there because he's talking about Lamar because Lamar gets clicks. And Lamar gets clicks because a lot of people do not like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And, they love downplaying his ability. They love talking about how he can't actually throw. He's only successful because he's an elite athlete. And, like we said before, none of the things that you hear about Josh Allen, right, who actually had struggles throwing the ball when he came in the league and could only move the offense with his legs.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson has been an incredibly efficient passer since he came into the NFL. I mean, obviously nobody's perfect, but he's been one of the top quarterbacks in the league since he was drafted. And yes, he is also one of the best open field runners in the NFL, period. So it makes him, one of the most dangerous players the league has ever seen, but it's not a negative. But, for certain reasons, there are people who love to kind of downplay his ability.
Well,
they're just kind of hoping that once he slows down or hoping he gets hurt or loses a little bit of his athleticism, that he won't be quite as dominant as he's been.
Right. Let's break down. I broke it down into 3 layers. There are 3 layers to the media's obsession with Lamar Jackson. The first layer is race. Right. I mean, we talk about it all the time in this show, like, just black players are just seen differently in leadership positions. And that goes for just anything in society. Right.
Yes.
The second layer is the need to be right. Right. The media, mainstream media's need to be right. And the third is, B mentioned, clicks. Right. The need for clicks, the need for attention. Those are the 3 things that drive Lamar Jackson stories because, Josh Allen ain't going to get you clicks. You know what I'm saying? Josh Allen's not going to get you clicks. And they didn't go as hard in on Josh Allen as they did Lamar. So we'll start with the first thing. Let's start with race. Obviously, black quarterbacks have been viewed differently in the NFL forever.
Yes.
Since the inception of football. And even to today, there hasn't been that much progress if you look at it. Yes, you see more starting black quarterbacks, but the view on black quarterbacks is they're not as cerebral. And that's something that's been passed on from generation to generation. And it's something that even the NFL takes an official position on. They think black players are dumber. That's their official position. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just a couple weeks ago, they stopped using race norming. If you don't know what race norming is, go look it up. Race norming is something that a study that they used to determine that black people have a lower IQ. Black players have a lower IQ than the white players. So when they were settling these lawsuits and paying out former players for CTE, basically what they're saying is black players have to score even lower than the white players on the IQ test because they're dumber. So that's their official position.
Right.
Okay. So this is something that's instilled. This is the mindset that's instilled in the NFL culture. That's the thought. Okay. So it's no different with Lamar Jackson. You see a player who's proven it from college, high school all the way through college, won the Heisman, played in a pro style offense. He's done it all. And they're like, don't believe your lying eyes. He should be playing wide receiver, a position he's never played before.
Right.
You've never seen him play before. Definitely he'll get drafted as a wide receiver. Right. And a lot of people in the media jumped on that because that's the first thing you think of when you think of a black athlete. And Stephen A., who we're going to talk about later on, he's done it before too. He did it with Dwayne Haskins. Right. Obviously never seen Dwayne Haskins play, but he knew he was black. And what was his first comments about Dwayne Haskins? A run first quarterback. Dwayne Haskins for his career had 50 yards rushing?
Less, I believe.
Yeah.
And this, you can't even just pin this on media people because Lamar being a wide receiver was from, that came first from Bill Polian, who was a very successful NFL GM.
Yeah.
And so, it just shows you the kind of attitudes that are prevalent in the
Charlie
league.
Casserly.
Yeah, well, I kind of forgot he existed, but yes, Charlie Casserly as well. And you don't, the types of criticisms that you get for black quarterbacks, you don't get for white quarterbacks, period. I mean, I don't recall ever hearing pre-draft that a white quarterback just wasn't smart enough. But you get that for nearly every black quarterback that comes out. I don't know, how many people remember, but when Jared Goff came out, they were on, I believe they were on Hard Knocks. Maybe
they were on Hard Knocks.
Kind of behind the scenes thing, but he was at practice and they found out that he didn't know how to call plays. Like he had just never
he literally did not know. Like we know now, right? We make jokes about it now, but in Hard Knocks tells you a lot of truths. If you watch Hard Knocks, they tell you a lot of truths. And that first 2 episodes usually is when a lot of stuff gets exposed. But I remember that he had never called a play in a huddle. And he was struggling to do it. Like they're telling him to play, and he was trying to call it, and the teammates were like, "What?
Yeah,
like what's he talking about?" He never knew how to do it. So from the jump, he just didn't know how to call plays. So what did McVay do? And he's done up until now. He's in Detroit now. He just called plays for him, and he would call the plays in his helmet, so he didn't even have to think about it. Just go out there, do what you know how to do. I'll line everybody up for you. Like, I mean. What are you reading?
Well, called the plays as well as read the defense for him pre-snap.
Yes,
but my point being that nobody ever questioned Jared Goff's intelligence coming into the league. He was the number 1 pick. It was between him and Carson Wentz, but he was thought of as a top guy. You never heard anything about his intelligence, his football IQ. Josh Allen came into the league and played lesser competition. He came into the league and was wildly inaccurate. I mean, he was just a straight up bad quarterback his rookie year, but you didn't get that same kind of talk that you get about Lamar Jackson. You look at Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield had all kinds of attitude problems, right? All kinds of character red flags. He was flipping off people in the stadium.
You saw him get tackled by police.
Yeah, he ran a little bit from police.
I always laugh about that because every time I see that, I put down on my fake scouting report, not athletic enough, right? Because he tried to run away from police and they tackled him.
Yeah.
But yeah. You see red flags with some of these guys, and it just kind of gets written off.
And and it's funny because that with Kirk Herbstreit, he saw Baker Mayfield, giving people the finger in college, and he just he hand waved it. He wrote it off like, oh, it's not a big deal, blah blah blah. But when a black player did that, Rashawn Golden, who got drafted by the Panthers in the 3rd round, he did that at Tennessee as well. And Herbstreit went on a rant talking about he should have been kicked off the team.
Yep.
Now, to his credit, Rashawn Golden called him out about that on Twitter, and he said, "You know what, you're right. That's a mistake of mine, and that's something that I have to think about it and just do better in the future."
And that I do respect. I respect when somebody can say, "You're absolutely right. I'm wrong. I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm going to work on it." A lot of times, that's all you got to say.
Because it just goes. It's just unconscious, right? Like he's just trained or conditioned to see black players and white players differently.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, that's one layer. I'm going to read a couple of these comments and we're going to get to the second layer, the need to be right. Let's see here. Raven Ron says, Keyshawn Johnson has something to say about Lamar too. Yeah, of course. And look, one person says something, everybody says it in mainstream media, ESPN, FS1. They're all going to say the same talking points, right? In fact, Dan Le Batard used to make jokes about that on his show when he was on ESPN, that the talking points used to go around. They get emails saying, we have to talk about this today, right? So, I mean, that's just what it is. Tupuppy says they don't want to see him win. No, they don't. They don't. Zeke Hokage, what's going on? What's good, LBHT? Hope life has been great, both of y'all and everyone reading this. All right, shout out to you, man. Appreciate you coming through. Yes, Ferris, Dwayne Haskins was a statue, which was why it was so funny that Stephen A. made those comments saying that he was a run-first quarterback. Running to where? Ferris said he also said Josh Allen should have played tight end. Well, that's another person that all the things that they would say about Lamar. Run first, has to throw on the run, can't stand in the pocket, can't make all the reads. That was Josh Allen to the T. And Matt Waldman actually he wrote about this, talking about the difference between the two. And he could show you, he break down tape, all the tape, play by play, what Lamar did great, what Josh and the things that Josh Allen didn't do that Lamar did. And he said Lamar was going to be great in the pocket. He has great pocket awareness. He goes through all of his reads. He's been doing that since college. And he does it in the NFL now. He just doesn't get credit for it. When they say, well, he's holding on to the ball too long, or he missed somebody that's wide open. He didn't miss anybody. Like that, he's doing what the play calls for a lot of times. Right. I don't think he misses somebody that's getting open. I think they're telling him, go this way, or he doesn't have the faith in the wide receiver.
Well, I was going to say, and also, to be fair, sometimes he looks up and that open guy is Miles Boykin and he says, nah.
Yeah.
We need to gain yards on this play.
Jimmy Kidwell says, if Lamar looked and sounded different, he wouldn't get as much negativity. That's a fact. They don't even like his voice. That's true. That's true. Just Aloe's in the house. What's going on? Hey, fellas, the heat had me knocked out. I just woke up, man. This heat over here is no joke. Yeah. And while it works, sometimes the AC works. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay. So the second thing, the need to be right. This is obvious, right? Nobody in the media wants to say that they're wrong. Like they think it's like you have some point system. If you admit that you're wrong too many times, your credibility goes away. But that's not how it works.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. You don't have credibility to begin with. You are Mike Florio.
Well, yeah. What's his name? Howard Bryant.
Yeah.
Tweeted it out a couple of days ago. There's a huge difference between journalism and media. And what a lot of these people are doing is not journalism. It's media. And it's trash. Yeah. What's going on, Davon? Hashtag LBHT crew.
What's
yes,
up,
sir.
Davon?
Appreciate you coming through. So, yeah, that's what it is. So they went really hard against Lamar, and it's a long list of people. And some of them got wise and said, you know what? I'm just wrong. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't know what I was looking at before. I got it wrong. I mean, they got it all the way wrong with Lamar Jackson. You're talking about a guy who was picked 32nd. He was the 5th quarterback taken.
Yes.
The 5th quarterback taken. You had Baker Mayfield number 1. You had Sam Darnold number 3. Mm-hmm. All right. You had
Josh Allen number 7 and Josh Rosen 10th.
Right. Josh Rosen lost his job immediately. They went and drafted a quarterback the
Kyler
very
Murray.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the very next year. The very next year, number one. So got that one completely
To
wrong.
be fair, he didn't lose his job because he actually didn't even win the starting job in Arizona to begin with.
Yes.
So
Yes. Sam Darnold, I ain't gonna talk about Sam Darnold seeing ghosts and all that stuff. He's a Panther now. I ain't gonna say nothing.
okay.
But he hasn't had a great start to his career. Let's put it that way.
Just got to take that one, I guess.
Josh Allen, he had a really good year last year. His rookie year was awful. He was everything that they would say about Lamar Jackson. I think he had more rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns, I believe. Definitely more passing touchdowns than he had interceptions. So not a great year, but they did a good job surrounding him with talent and just giving him support. And he definitely turned it around last year. Done an excellent job last year. Baker Mayfield had a really good rookie season, and they said, "Hey, this guy's going to be an MVP next year." They got him Odell, they got Jarvis Landry. This guy is going to be the man. And the exact opposite happened. Lamar Jackson was a unanimous.
2020.
Yeah, he was 20 touchdowns, 20 interceptions. Lamar Jackson was a unanimous MVP. Baker and he turned it around
Baby
last year too.
Jameis over there.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear anything about him because people
Yeah.
were, he's going to be MVP. They're going to be Super Bowl candidates.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Lamar actually wins MVP. They go 14-2. They come back the next year. They make the playoffs again. They win a playoff game, and can Lamar even play in the NFL?
Right. Because they got it so wrong. Some people wised up and said, yeah, no, he can play. Yeah, he's the man. Like I'm not going to keep questioning him. Other people want to double down because now it's okay. He played well, but is it sustainable? Right? Can he keep doing it? Can he keep playing that style of football? Well, last year he had a down year, but it was still a pretty good year. And I think it's obvious it's sustainable. It's obvious he can maintain this level of play. So now they're just waiting for any little thing to happen so they can trash him instead of just saying he's really good. Let's just move on. So that's the need to be right. And the third one, another obvious one, they need clicks. It's slow right now. There's not a lot to talk about, right? You and I don't even talk that much football in the off season. I know a lot of you guys are here for the Ravens content. We try to give it to you every week in some shape or form, but we don't focus a whole lot on it because there's not a whole lot to talk about, and we don't like making up stuff. We don't like,
repeating the same thing.
Yeah.
Over.
That's not really our thing. That's not really our thing. Now we are going to start ramping it up, probably starting next week because training camp is coming up. So you're going to get a lot of Ravens and Panthers content. So stay tuned for that. But I get it, man. Like you need something to talk about. Baker, I guess. I don't know. I would say you could take shots at Baker. I know Colin Cowherd does it, and it gets him ratings.
Yeah,
but
I don't think the majority of people like that though. They want you to leave Baker alone.
Yeah, you could talk about Aaron Rodgers, and his beef with the Packers. There are other stories that you could talk about.
The entire city of Green Bay, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, there's other stories that you can talk about, but Lamar Jackson is easy and convenient. You can take shots at him. You can write your articles about him, and without a doubt, he's going to get clicks.
Yeah.
So
and it's easy because you don't even have to have an actual story. You can just make up whatever.
Right.
The only other kind of interesting thing that came out of that is the idea that he's going to get over $40 million a year, which was kind of in doubt. Some people thought he was going to come in lower, 35 to 37, and just have more guaranteed money. Florio, I don't know if this is something he's heard or if he's just talking, but he was saying that his extension is looking to come in over $40 million a year.
Yeah. A couple more comments, and then I want to talk about the contract part of it too, because what he's suggesting is you can't risk getting hurt because that'll put your contract in jeopardy, and we want to explain to you why that's completely wrong. Derek Wedley says, well, he said, "My bad, I effed." Simply, my bad, I effed up. Let's fix it. Can do a lot. Absolutely. Josiah says Lamar is the most hated QB in football. Is he the most hated? Hold on. Can you see the comment? Oh, there we go. Oh, were you clicking on it too?
At the same time.
Okay. I'll let you handle the clicks. I'll let you handle the clicks. I was like, StreamYard. Tough puppy. I can't believe I've seen Dak ranked over Lamar by many people.
We're
This
not
is
going to
crazy.
slander Dak here. I mean, Dak's really good, but yeah, nah, that's silly to rank him over Lamar. I hope
You know,
Caleb's not in here yet.
yeah, Caleb will say, and Vach will say that he's better than Lamar too. But those are two Cowboys fans. Of course, they're gonna say that.
Yeah.
But he's really good. We love Dak too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but and that's one of those things. Look, we you guys already know. Okay, we cape for all the black head coaches, all the black quarterbacks because there's not enough of them. But they're also doing really well right now. Dak is a really good quarterback. Russell Wilson's a really good quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is probably the best quarterback in the league. So if you want to say those guys are better than Lamar, okay, fine. Lamar's the fourth best. I'll take it.
Right.
Just don't say Matt Stafford's better because he's not.
Jimmy Kidwell. Allen had 21 dropped interceptions last year. He won't get away with that again.
Listen, no, he won't. Now, the question is, how much is he going to progress from last year?
Yeah.
How much is he going to mature as a passer, decision maker, things like that? That remains to be seen. I don't know.
It does, and I hope he does progress because he's fun to watch. I like watching him. Having the Bills be a real threat is more interesting. It's more entertaining, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. So salute to him, man. I was wrong on him. I thought he was going to be trash,
Yeah.
but no, he's. And see what we did. We were wrong.
We aren't entertaining Cowboys fans this evening.
Okay. Which one you want to go to? Chosen Rosen.
If your quarterback isn't named Mahomes or Rodgers, he's not better than Lamar. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, Stephon Diggs was a big part of that change too. Yes, absolutely he was.
Yeah, and they went and they upgraded his wide receivers again, getting him Emmanuel Sanders over John Brown. So I would expect him to come back and have a similar year to what he did last year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, let's talk about the contractual part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing you hear a lot too. Well, one, how much do you want to pay a mobile quarterback? That's one, because they're not going to last as long, because you're insinuating that they're not good passers, they're not good decision makers. What makes them good players at the time is that they have this great running ability, and that's what you're saying with Lamar Jackson. You can't give him a long-term deal because he won't be this quick quarterback for the next 10 years, maybe 5 years, which is BS. I think he's just as good of a passer as the top quarterbacks out there. We don't have the offense or offensive coordinator to let him showcase his skills.
Yeah.
But either way, the team believes in him. They're invested in him. And let's say he does get hurt, because we're talking about injuries right now. If he goes out there, I don't even want to jinx it, but if he goes and hurts himself and he has to miss a significant time or even miss the year, what does that do for his long-term contract? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
They're still going to sign him for the same amount of money they were going to sign him before he got hurt, because there's no injury really that's career ending like it was before. ACL tears, broken legs, and all that stuff, they're not career ending.
Right.
You can come back, even torn shoulders, right? That was Drew Brees back in the day. Back when that was still a thing. You tore your shoulder, you were done.
Yeah. The Chargers let him walk. And to be fair, they had drafted Phillip Rivers previously, but they let him walk because they didn't know how he would come back from that shoulder injury, and that's why Miami got cold feet and didn't sign him in free agency.
Yep.
Also because they're the Dolphins and they can't be good.
And they signed Dante Culpepper, who was also hurt, by the way.
Also hurt, yes, a knee injury. Yeah, he never came back quite the same, but he was also not the same kind of athlete that Lamar is, or Vic or Cam or anything like that.
But the way they treat those injuries now, as opposed to back then, is completely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, that's what led to Drew Brees going to New Orleans and all that. Thankfully, he's gone now, though. I can't stand Drew Brees. Cannot stand him.
That's a different story. But yeah, so basically, injuries don't do anything in terms of contract. Maybe if you're older at the tail end of your career, and again, that's not about injury. That has to do with your age.
Mhm.
So there's no risk to Lamar in his contract, and for him to take shots at his mom, because that's what he's doing, saying a good agent would advise him to do this. You don't know what a good agent would do. You're not an agent.
Yeah.
You've never managed a NFL player or any kind of player. So what are you talking about? Just because his mom is taking charge of this, we assume that, or they assume that she doesn't know how to negotiate. You don't know anything about her background. You don't know anything about what she's capable of doing, and you're just saying, well, he's about to get screwed. And if he does, what business is that of yours?
Right.
Why do you care so much about these black athletes who you think are dumb and just reckless? Like, why do you care so much about how much money they make? That's another thing we got to talk about one day. Why the media cares so much about how much these black athletes make?
People didn't care so much when Mark Brunell went broke. They didn't really care when Drew Brees got scammed on some jewelry. Like it's about controlling black athletes.
Mm, mm,
That's what it's always been about.
yeah.